How the wealthy teach money to their kids. How Warren Buffett's no inheritance rule created 3 independent millionaires. Introduction: the conversation that changed everything. Picture this for a moment. You're worth $100 billion. That's more money than most countries have. You could buy anything, solve any problem, make your children's lives infinitely easier. What would you do? Most parents would set up trust funds, create safety nets, make sure their kids never have to worry about money again. Warren Buffett did the exact opposite. Let me tell you about a conversation I had with someone who knows the Buffett family personally. He told me something that stopped me in my tracks. When Warren Buffett's daughter, Susan, learned that she wouldn't be inheriting her father's fortune, her response wasn't anger or disappointment. She said, "Thank God." Think about that for a second. The daughter of the world's richest man was relieved she wouldn't inherit billions. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly why she said that, and more importantly, how you can use the same strategy Warren Buffett used, even if your net worth has a few less zeros. Because here's what nobody tells you about the Buffett family. His 3 children aren't just surviving without dad's money. They're thriving. Each one runs their own multi-million-dollar foundation. Financially independent, emotionally healthy, and making a real impact on the world. And it all started with one simple rule that Warren established when they were kids. Chapter 1: The Billionaire Kids Who Rode the Bus. Here's what will blow your mind about the Buffett children. Susan, Howard, and Peter Buffett grew up in the same house their father bought in 1958 for $31,500. No mansion, no servants, no private jets to school. They rode the public bus. Can you imagine that? Children of one of America's richest men, waiting at the same bus stop as every other kid in Omaha, Nebraska. But wait, it gets better. These kids had chores. Real chores. Susan had to do dishes. Howard mowed the lawn. Peter took out the trash. They got allowances that were smaller than what most middle-class kids received. Here's the kicker. They didn't even know their dad was rich until they were teenagers. Let me repeat that. Children of Warren Buffett had no idea they were living in one of America's wealthiest families. Susan Buffett once said in an interview, "I remember being in high school and a friend asking me, 'Is your dad really rich?' I honestly didn't know what to say because it never felt that way at home." Think about your own childhood for a moment. Did you know if your family had money or not? Most kids do. They pick up on the signals. Stress about bills. The conversations that stop when they walk into the room. The things they can or can't have. But the Buffett kids lived in a bubble of normalcy that Warren and his wife Susan deliberately created. Why would the world's greatest investor hide his success from his own children? Chapter 2: The Philosophy That Built Independent Adults. Here's where Warren Buffett's genius really shows. He had a rule, a simple rule that changed everything. He called it giving his children enough to do anything, but not enough to do nothing. Let me break this down for you. Enough to do anything means giving your kids the tools, education, and opportunities to pursue their dreams. Warren made sure his children had access to good schools, quality health care, and the freedom to explore their interests. Not enough to do nothing means they couldn't just sit back and live off dad's money. They had to work. They had to contribute. They had to find their own purpose. Compare this to what most wealthy families do. And honestly, what most middle-class families do too. We give our kids everything we didn't have. We solve their problems before they even know they have problems. We create safety nets that become safety blankets that become crutches. You know what the statistics show us? 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the second generation. 90% lose it by the third. But here's what's even more shocking. It's not just about the money. Research shows that children who inherit significant wealth are more likely to struggle with addiction, depression, and lack of purpose. Warren Buffett looked at these statistics and said, "Not my kids." Wait, there's more to this story. Chapter 3. The Uncomfortable Truth About American Parenting. Let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. When was the last time you let your child fail at something without jumping in to help? I'm not talking about dangerous situations. I'm talking about the small stuff. The forgotten homework. The friendship drama. The summer job they don't want to apply for. Here's what's happening in America right now, and it's terrifying. 40% of parents are financially supporting their adult children in ways that impact their own retirement savings. We're talking about parents in their 60s spending $5,000 a month on 27-year-olds who live at home. A recent survey found that 55% of Americans think parents are doing too much for their young adult children. But here's the crazy part. 61% of those same parents admit they're probably doing too much for their own kids. We know we're doing it wrong, but we can't stop ourselves. Warren Buffett stopped himself before he started. Let me tell you about a conversation Warren had with each of his children when they turned 12. He sat them down individually and said something like this: "You're going to have every opportunity in the world. You'll get a great education. You'll have my support and advice whenever you need it. But understand this. You're going to make your own way in this world. You're going to work. You're going to contribute. You're going to earn everything you get." Can you imagine having that conversation with your 12-year-old? Most parents would think, that's too harsh. They're just kids. They have plenty of time to worry about money and work later. Here's what Warren understood that most parents don't. Chapter 4. Why Independence is the Greatest Inheritance. The greatest gift you can give your child isn't money. It's confidence. Not the fake confidence that comes from participation trophies and constant praise. The real confidence that comes from facing challenges and overcoming them. Think about the most successful people you know. Really think about them. What do they have in common? They've all overcome something. They've all faced adversity and figured out how to deal with it. They've all learned that they can handle whatever life throws at them. Think about people you know who've had everything handed to them. How are they doing? Warren Buffett's children learned early that they could handle anything because they had to handle things. When Susan wanted a car in high school, she didn't get one as a gift. She got a job and bought her own. When Howard wanted to travel after college, Warren didn't fund a gap year. Howard worked on farms and saved his money. When Peter wanted to pursue music, Warren didn't set up a record label for him. Peter moved to San Francisco with $800 and figured it out. And here's what happened. Susan became a philanthropist who's given away millions to social justice causes. Howard became a successful photographer and farmer who now runs a foundation focused on conflict resolution. Peter became a successful musician and author who runs a foundation supporting girls and women. All three of them are financially independent. All three are emotionally healthy. All three are making a real difference in the world. But here's the thing that really matters. Chapter 5. What you can do starting tonight. You don't need to be worth $100 billion to use Warren Buffett's strategy. You just need to be brave enough to have uncomfortable conversations. Tonight, I want you to sit down with your children, all of them, even the little ones. I want you to start talking about money. Real talk. Not scary talk, but honest talk. Here's what you can say to a 6-year-old. Money is something we use to buy the things we need and some of the things we want. Mommy and Daddy work to earn money. Someday, you'll work to earn money too. Here's what you can say to a 10-year-old. Our family has enough money for the things we need and some of the things we want. But we don't buy everything we want, because that's not how money works. We make choices. Here's what you can say to a teenager. You're going to be responsible for your own financial future. We'll help you learn how to manage money, but we won't manage it for you. And here's what you can say to a young adult. We love you and we believe in you. That's why we're not going to solve all your problems for you. I know this feels harsh. I know your instinct is to protect and provide. Ask yourself this question: what serves your child better in the long run? Your money or their confidence? Warren Buffett chose confidence, and his children thanked him for it. The three richest kids in America grew up riding the bus, doing chores, and earning their own way. They became some of the most successful, well-adjusted adults you'll ever meet. Your children can have the same advantage. You just have to be brave enough to give it to them. Start tonight. Start with one conversation. Start by saying, "We need to talk about money, and it's going to be different from now on." Because the greatest inheritance you can leave your children isn't in your bank account. It's in their character. And that starts with the choices you make today.